Alright, so today we are going to be getting into the ImageToWall function inside of ScuffedWalls. And obviously it's going to start out the same way it does with every function. You want to type the beat that it starts at and then the name of the function. So here it will be ImageToWall, and you can go ahead and save there. And it's not going to do anything. And it's going to spit me a bunch of errors, obviously. Oh, it's going to crash. That's new. Okay, so now that we're not saving because it is unsafe, we can go ahead and do our path, which is going to be our path to the image. If you look inside the ScuffedWalls Google Doc, which will be linked in the description, probably the first link, if not that, the second, then you can get the image that we are working on as our test. For now, we're going to go, and I'm just going to copy this whole thing, so we're going to Control-C that, and then we'll just paste it in. Obviously, you can use the full path if you wish, and that will let you do d/ or c/ and then the direct file or Windows directory to the image. The next one is black empty. This one's kind of important. Is black empty? It's formatted like a question because it's a bool, yes or no, true or false. Basically what this means is if the pixel is black, like maybe in this little box where my mouse is hovering, if it's black, then ScuffedWalls will not put a wall there. It's going to assume it's like transparent. In this case, we're going to type false because there's not much black in our sample image. And anything that might be construed as black, I don't want to be. So we're going to put false just to be safe there. Next thing is centered. This is pretty self-explanatory. It is also a bool, and it just centers the image to 0, 0, 0, which is kind of like where the player is. So generally, you can do this as false and then just use position, but you can also type true here. And we're going to do that because this doesn't really need to be played ever. And then we have our duration. We've done this before. It is just how long it's going to be. We'll do our standard 20 beats. The spread spawn time, we didn't go over this in the model to wall, but it's kind of a bit more relevant here, but it's also kind of not. Spread, spelled that wrong. Spread spawn time. This is kind of like if it's lagging, you can adjust this and basically change when the pixels will spawn in, so you can kind of avoid lag. In this case, this is a test map, so I don't need to do that. But I don't need to do that, so I'm going to leave it alone. Max line length, this one's important. This will determine, basically, so ScuffedWalls compresses the image to convert it to a wall, and max line length will determine how, in a row of pixels, it'll determine how much to compress that and take one color. So like in my background here, this gradient right here, it would take this line where my mouse is, like where this little box I'm making is, and it would basically take whatever the maximum it is. So let's say this is our max line, and it will just take whatever the most prominent color is and then, make it a wall. I hope that makes sense. Or it's just a way of helping the compressor get one color. For our sample image, we are just going to set it to 1 because I kind of have messed with this so I know what looks decent. The next thing is shift. Shift is the essentially the horizontal compression, if that makes any sense. So let me pull this up here. If you'll look at this image here that I've pulled from Discord, you can see that by making the shift, this is a 5, it really compresses it vertically and squishes it. And so that's why you kind of want to be careful with shift. I'm going to set to, I believe, 1. Let me confirm that. I'm actually setting it to 2. And so that will compress it a little, but it will also just help it to look a bit more neat. After that, we're just going to set the compression, which is how much ScuffedWalls will compress the image. It is recommended that the value is from 0 to 0.1, and you can kind of go in there and do farther decimals. I'm just going to do 0.1 for now, because I found that works fine for me. The next one that's important is alpha. This is... if alpha is set to whatever its default is, then the walls will just kind of be white and they'll just shine through. So we're going to set this to 0 to make it a full just blank wall. Didn't mean to save there, but that's not a big deal. That's fine, and that's what it looks like when you save a ImageToWall. The last thing you're going to want to do is an animate definite position. We did this when we did our text wall. And essentially, it just lets it kind of float in place. It animates it from a definite position. The name kind of explains it. And we're just going to set this to 0, 0. Well, we'll have it hover. We'll say 0, 5, and then 5. That should have it, and then we'll do 0 because we don't want anything happening time-wise. And essentially what this should do is it should hover in the air and be a bit farther back from the player, because right here we're editing the Y and the Z. If it works, then we're going to find out very soon. So let's launch Beat Saber and watch our wall move us to about there. And it's probably going to lag as as it spawns in, because it's obviously heavy. And it's actually not working. So the first thing we're going to want to do is just try this again, because this may have messed up. Oof. And there we go. And look at that. There is our image, and my frame rate is very low. And in actuality, I've just rickrolled myself because I forgot two very important things about this. And we definitely want those things. The first one is size. Size is very important because it defaults to 1, and 1 is huge. So we're going to default it to 0. Or we're going to change that to 0.1, so it will be significantly smaller. And then we also want to use our thick parameter that we've used in text-to-wall. Thick parameter is very important because it's the edge color of the wall, how much that will fill up. We're going to set that to 12. So now when we save and export, we should have a fully working wall that is smaller and actually hovers correctly. So let's check that out. And there we go. It's a very low frame rate, but that is an image that has been converted to walls. So that's pretty cool. And we're going to do another example here just with a different image entirely. So you can kind of get it with an image that maybe has black. I can show you what exactly is Black Empty will do. And we'll cut to that once I have found an image that I like. Alright, so we have our second image in here. And I'm just going to copy and paste most of this because this is generally just good stuff to have. We're obviously going to change our image, so it's going to be a.jpg. And we're going to set Black Empty to true for now, and then we'll set it to false afterwards, and I'll kind of do a little side-by-side, maybe. So you can see, added image tool. I'm going to wait to see if it's going to give me any more information. I see. That's my bad. It is loading, I think. So we're going to find out. Because this image that I've added here is a little bit bigger than Mr. Rick Astley. And plus is Black Empty, so. Alright, and it is finished. It was about, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes per wall because it is very heavy, and the image, even at being like only 280 something, maybe? I think it was 285 by 200. It is still a large image. And I don't know what those settings are going to do, so we're going to find out together. But it will show how Black Empty works. Uh-oh. It would appear that we have crashed Beat Saber. And this is a good learning experience. So, that is what happens when the image is far too large for our image converter. So let's edit this again. And now that we have adjusted the size, we can just save this again and inside of ScuffedWalls, because all we've done is edited the image, and every time you save in ScuffedWalls, it recompiles and writes to the standard.dat. Now we just wait. And there we go. That was much quicker, and we have significantly less walls. We have about 7,000 less walls, which should be really nice for performance. So let's reload. And in that case, with all the lag, we could probably throw in a spread spawn time to balance things, but we're not. This is either going to work or it isn't, and it might not, it looks like. Completely just freezing straight up. I figured it out. Actually, I figured out our big mistake, so this is going to be a longer thing. Paste that back in. We had 2 walls going at the same time, which is the big issue. So 70, that's 90, so at beat 100, if we do this, it won't be trying to spawn in 2 walls at the same time, and it should work. I don't know how the heck I'm going to edit this, but let's just cut to Beat Saber now. So this should be Rick Astley. And then when he despawns, about 10 beats later, we should have a lag spike, and then our next wall. And... oh, there it is. So that's a very low frame rate, and you can also see how everywhere that it detected as black, it made transparent. So the image did not show up all the way. A lot of work to do is black empty, but let's make this false, and I will give you a little side-by-side here. Alright, and as you can see, that is with our is black empty set to true. And we had a full cape, which is really, really cool. And that's it. That's pretty much all there is to ImageToWall. Now that we've kind of gone over in these past videos, path and duration and anime definite position, thick, size, it's very easy to just build upon those things, and that's how we're getting to this, and why it's, while a longer video, still very easy to do. It's just there's a lot of it. So that's how to use ImageToWall. I hope you kind of were able to follow that. Really was a bit confusing for me, because this is just disjointed and I'm scatterbrained right now. But if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, I guess, or the light designer. His Discord will be linked in the description. You also have the links to the full Google Drive docs and the GitHub docs. So if you need any help, it's all there. And yeah, if you have any specific functions you need me to cover, feel free to put those in a comment or, again, Discord. It's always there. And I will see you guys next week.